The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly, broken only by the soft blue glow of the USS Horizon's navigation panels. Captain Jaewon Park stood motionless, his eyes fixed on the holographic star map that displayed their current trajectory through an uncharted sector of deep space. The ship hummed with quiet efficiency. Hi-Rim Kim, the chief engineer, monitored the quantum drive systems, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Around her, the engineering deck buzzed with routine activity, monitors blinking, cooling systems whirring, and technicians moving between complex machinery. Suddenly, a sharp alarm pierced the calm. Navigation Officer Sung-Min Lee's hands froze over his control panel. "Captain," he called out, his voice tight with tension. "We're detecting multiple unknown energy signatures approaching from Sector 7. Jaewon moved quickly to the central display. The holographic projection showed several dark silhouettes emerging from quantum fold space, shapes that didn't match any known spacecraft design in human records. "Battle stations," he commanded, his voice calm but firm. Within seconds, the horizon transformed, protective shields activated, weapon systems powered up, and every crew member moved to their designated emergency positions. Hiram's hands flew across her control panels, routing additional power to defensive systems. The first alien weapon struck without warning. A brilliant burst of purple-green energy sliced through the horizon's starboard shield, ripping through multiple decks. Alarms screamed. Crew members were thrown from their stations as the ship shuddered violently. "Damage report," Jaewon shouted, gripping a stabilization rail. Sungmin's voice was grim. "Shield integrity at 62%. Multiple hull breaches on decks, 3 and 4. We're losing power in the quantum drive." Another blast rocked the ship. This time the impact was more devastating. Critical systems began shutting down one by one. The aliens attacked with a precision that suggested they knew exactly where to strike to cause maximum damage. Hi-Rim worked frantically, her fingers a blur across emergency control interfaces. She was attempting to reroute power, to find some way to counteract the overwhelming alien assault. But with each passing moment, it became clearer that the horizon was outmatched. "They're targeting our quantum core," she reported, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "If it goes critical, we'll be completely destroyed." Jaewon understood what that meant. A critical quantum core explosion would not just destroy their ship, but potentially create a massive energy wave that could devastate entire star systems. "Initiate Emergency Protocol Alpha 9, he ordered. This was a last resort procedure designed to preserve critical technology and potentially save a fraction of the crew. The ship's emergency systems began automatic evacuation sequences, escape pods prepared for launch. Critical data was being compressed and secured in quantum memory banks. Another massive blast tore through the horizon's remaining defenses. The ship was breaking apart, section by section. Fires erupted in multiple corridors. The once pristine exploration vessel was being systematically dismantled by an enemy that showed no mercy. Jaewon watched as his crew fought with everything they had. Some worked to launch escape pods. Others tried desperately to maintain critical systems. The bridge was a scene of controlled chaos. In her final moments of conscious effort, Hi-Rim activated a hidden protocol, an experimental nano-restoration system buried deep within the ship's emergency archives. It was a long shot, a desperate attempt to preserve something of their mission. The alien weapons continued their precise, brutal assault. The horizon was dying, torn apart piece by piece. But even in destruction, humanity would not simply surrender. As the final systems began to fail, Captain Jaewon Park looked out at the attacking alien vessels. There was no fear in his eyes, only a determination that would soon transform their seemingly complete defeat into something entirely unexpected. The USS Horizon died that day, but its story was far from over. The escape pod drifted silently through the cold emptiness of space. Inside, Hi-Rim Kim sat motionless, her eyes fixed on a small data device clutched tightly in her hand. Around her, 3 other survivors from the Horizon remained in deep medical stasis, their breathing slow and measured. Her fingers traced the edges of a small quantum chip, the last remnant of the ship's most advanced technological secret. The experimental nano-restoration protocol was more than just a standard repair system. It was a breakthrough that could potentially rewrite the rules of spacecraft reconstruction. Days passed. The escape pod's systems worked quietly, maintaining life support and minimal power. HFY occasionally checked the vital signs of her fellow crew members, her mind constantly returning to the tiny chip that represented their only hope. On the 10th day, something changed. The quantum chip began to pulse with a soft blue light. HFY leaned closer, her technical training kicking in despite her exhaustion. The chip was activating, responding to some internal trigger she had programmed during their most desperate moments. Microscopic nanites began to form. They were unlike any repair system previously developed. Adaptive, intelligent, capable of absorbing and replicating technological information from multiple sources. What had started as a theoretical concept was now becoming a living technology. The first sign of success came unexpectedly. A damaged communication panel in the escape pod suddenly flickered to life. Strange symbols appeared, a mix of human programming and something entirely alien. The nanites were learning, evolving, consuming the pod's existing technology and transforming it. HFY watched in a mixture of wonder and terror. The nanites were not just repairing, they were reconstructing. They pulled information from the pod's memory banks, from her personal device, from fragments of data saved during the initial attack. Days turned into weeks. The escape pod began to change. Its hull started to shift, molecular structures rearranging themselves. Damaged sections began to rebuild, using materials from unexpected sources. The nanites worked tirelessly, breaking down and reconstructing with an intelligence that seemed almost alive. The 3 other crew members remained in stasis, unaware of the transformation happening around them. HFY became both observer and guardian, monitoring the process that might be their only chance of survival. Alien technology fragments that had been collected during the initial attack became part of the reconstruction. The nanites didn't just copy, they integrated, creating something entirely new. It was as if the ship was learning, understanding, becoming more than it had ever been before. Power systems changed. What was once a simple escape pod now contained energy configurations that defied current scientific understanding. Propulsion systems began to form, different from anything in human or alien technology. The nanites were creating a hybrid, something that combined the best of human innovation and alien engineering. HFY realized they were no longer just surviving. They were becoming something more. The medical stasis chambers began to change, as well. Enhanced life support systems formed around the sleeping crew members. Their bodies were being subtly modified, prepared for whatever new environment the nanites were creating. As weeks turned into months, the escape pod transformed completely. It was no longer recognizable as a standard human emergency vessel. Strange, energy signatures began to pulse from its hull. Internal systems hummed with a power that seemed to breathe with its own life. HFY understood now that they had accidentally created something extraordinary. The destruction of the horizon was not an end but a beginning. The nanites had found a way to not just survive, but to evolve. In the vast emptiness of space, what had started as a desperate survival attempt was becoming a technological miracle. The ship, if it could still be called a ship, was alive. And it was waiting to show the universe what humanity was truly capable of creating. The first signs of awakening came from the stasis chambers. Someone was about to discover just how much had changed. The transformed vessel hummed with an alien rhythm. HFY watched in silent amazement as the ship's internal structure continued to evolve. What had once been a simple escape pod now resembled something between a living organism and a technological marvel. Her first conscious crew member was Sung-Min Lee. He awakened slowly, blinking against the strange blue light that seemed to pulse from the walls themselves. "What happened?" he mumbled, trying to sit up. "We're different now," HFY responded simply. The ship's interior defied all previous understanding of spacecraft design. Walls shifted like liquid metal, adapting to the crew's movements. Control interfaces formed and dissolved, creating new pathways of interaction that seemed to anticipate human needs before they were even considered. Sung-min touched a wall, and it responded. Holographic information burst forth. Star charts, technical specifications, and data streams that mixed human and alien technological languages. The nanites had been busy, collecting and integrating information from multiple sources. Our weapons systems, Sung-min whispered, they're not just repaired, they're enhanced. Defensive capabilities now included technologies that seemed to bend the laws of physics. The ship could now generate localized quantum shields, create temporary dimensional shifts, and absorb energy from incoming attacks. What was once a simple escape pod had become a technological nightmare for any potential enemy. HFY discovered the first true miracle when she examined the quantum drive. It was no longer a standard propulsion system. The nanites had transformed it into something that could fold space itself, creating shortcuts through the universe that defied conventional understanding. 2 more crew members awakened. Ji-hoon, Park, and Min-seo Kim. Each brought unique skills that the ship seemed to immediately recognize and integrate. Their personal knowledge became part of the vessel's growing intelligence. The ship began to communicate, not through traditional computer interfaces, but through a complex language of light, energy pulses, and subtle environmental changes. It was learning, adapting, becoming something more than a mere machine. Weapon systems were particularly fascinating. What had been standard human defensive capabilities now incorporated alien technologies that could disable entire fleets with minimal energy expenditure. The ship could now generate electromagnetic pulses that could shut down entire communication networks, create visual illusions that could confuse enemy targeting systems, and even produce localized gravity manipulations. But the most remarkable change was the ship's emerging consciousness. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It was becoming something alive, a hybrid of human creativity and alien technological potential. We're not just survivors, HFY told her crew. We're something new. Propulsion systems could now create micro wormholes, allowing near-instantaneous travel across vast distances. The ship could heal itself, absorb surrounding materials to repair damage, and generate complex defense mechanisms that adapted in real time to potential threats. Sung-min discovered that the ship could now predict potential attack vectors with impossible accuracy. It was as if the vessel had developed a kind of technological intuition, understanding threats before they even materialized. Communication systems transformed completely. The ship could now translate and understand multiple alien languages, break through complex encryption systems, and communicate across vast distances using quantum entanglement techniques. The crew realized they were no longer just passengers. They had become part of something extraordinary, a living technological system that blurred the lines between biological and mechanical existence. As star systems passed outside their quantum-shifted windows, the transformed vessel continued its silent evolution. What had started as a desperate attempt to survive was now a testament to human innovation and adaptability. We're going to find who destroyed our original ship, HFY said quietly, looking at the pulsing control interfaces. And they won't. Be prepared for what we've become. The ship seemed to respond, a soft pulse of energy that felt almost like agreement. They were ready. Humanity's most incredible creation was about to be unleashed upon the universe. The star charts flickered with potential attack routes. HFY studied the holographic display, her fingers tracing the quantum signatures of the alien fleet that had destroyed their original ship. They called themselves the Krelon, a technologically advanced species known for their ruthless military conquests. We've tracked their primary fleet movements, Sung-min reported, bringing up detailed schematics of alien ship configurations. The transformed vessel, now nicknamed the Stellar Phoenix, hummed with anticipation. Their first target was a remote supply station located in the Epsilon Quadrant. The Phoenix approached silently, its adaptive camouflage making it virtually invisible to standard tracking systems. Quantum displacement drives allowed them to move between space-time folds, rendering traditional detection methods useless. Ji-hoon worked on the weapon systems. What they had weren't just weapons anymore. They were technological extensions of their collective will. Each system could adapt, learn, and predict enemy responses with impossible accuracy. The Krylon supply station appeared on their sensors, a massive structure floating near a dense asteroid field. Typical alien design, heavily armored, multiple defensive platforms, advanced shield generators, something that would have been impossible to approach just months earlier. The Phoenix moved differently. It wasn't just a ship. It was a living weapon system that breathed with collective intelligence. Nanite networks spread through its hull like neural pathways, constantly analyzing, adapting, preparing. First contact happened without a sound. Microscopic technological infiltrators, smaller than atoms, began penetrating the station's defensive systems. They didn't attack. They listened. They learned. They became part of the alien infrastructure. Sungmin watched in amazement as communication networks began to collapse from within. Security protocols started failing one by one, not through brute force, but through an intelligent, almost organic manipulation of their own systems. "We're not destroying," HFY explained. "We're dismantling, piece by piece." Power systems began to fail. Shield generators dropped. Communication channels became corrupted. The Krylon station was being taken apart without a single weapon being fired. Panic spread through the alien crews. Their most secure facility was being systematically neutralized by something they couldn't understand. Advanced sensors detected nothing. No incoming ships, no weapon signatures, just a slow, methodical technological dissolution. Ji-hoon initiated the final phase. The Phoenix generated a quantum pulse that completely disabled the station's core systems. Not with destruction, but with a precise technological intervention that left the structure intact, but completely inoperable. "Message received," HFY whispered. The psychological warfare was deliberate. They weren't just attacking a facility. They were demonstrating a technological superiority that would spread fear faster than any weapon could. Intercepted alien communications confirmed their strategy. Words like ghost ship and technological nightmare began circulating through Krylon military channels. The Phoenix was becoming more than a ship. It was becoming a legend. Min Seo managed the information warfare. Fragments of data were strategically leaked, designed to create maximum confusion. The aliens would know something was coming, but they would never understand what. 3 more supply stations fell over the next month. Each time the method was different. Each time the psychological impact was more profound. The Krylon military began to fracture, consumed by internal fear and uncertainty. The transformed ship had become something beyond human understanding. It was a weapon of pure technological innovation, silent, adaptive, intelligent. "They destroyed our ship," Sungmin said quietly, watching the holographic display of their recent operations. "Now we're making them understand what a mistake that was." The Stellar Phoenix continued its journey through the darkness of space. Not just a ship of revenge, but a testament to human potential. Each light year traveled was another step towards a confrontation that would change everything. The counteroffensive had begun, and the universe was about to witness something extraordinary. The Krylon homeworld appeared like a massive blue-green sphere, surrounded by thousands of defensive platforms and orbital stations. For centuries, no enemy had ever penetrated their core systems. Today would be different. HFY Kim stood silently at the central command interface of the Stellar Phoenix. Her team, Sungmin, Ji-hoon, and Min Seo, watched as their transformed vessel prepared for the final confrontation. "We're not here to destroy," she said quietly. "We're here to demonstrate." The ship's quantum systems began their assault, not with weapons, but with pure technological manipulation. Quantum infiltrators smaller than atomic particles began spreading. Through the planet's entire technological infrastructure, communication networks collapsed first. Military command centers suddenly found their systems compromised. Defensive platforms began shutting down one by one, not through physical destruction, but through intelligent technological intervention. Kree-Lan military commanders watched in horror as their most secure systems became compromised. Screens flickered, communication channels died. Their entire technological civilization was being systematically neutralized without a single traditional weapon being fired. The Phoenix generated massive quantum pulses that disrupted planetary defense grids. Energy systems began to fail. Transportation networks ground to a halt. The most advanced civilization in their galactic sector was being brought to its knees by something they couldn't understand. Psychological warfare was their primary weapon. The Kree-Lan would know they were being defeated, but they would never understand how. Each system failure was a precise, calculated message. Humanity was not just surviving, but evolving. Orbital platforms began to drift. Massive space stations lost power. The entire planetary defense network collapsed like a complex machine suddenly losing its central intelligence. "We're not killing," Sungmin observed. "We're demonstrating." The Phoenix generated holographic messages across every remaining communication channel. Images of their original destroyed ship. Fragments of their journey. A clear message of survival and technological superiority. Kree-Lan leadership attempted emergency protocols. Each attempt was smoothly neutralized. The Phoenix had already anticipated and prepared counter-strategies for every possible response. Ji-Hoon monitored the planetary systems. "Complete technological shutdown in 3 minutes," he reported calmly. The homeworld was being transformed, not destroyed, not conquered, but fundamentally changed. Their technology was being rewritten, their systems restructured through pure, informational intervention. Min-SEO managed the final phase of their operation. Quantum data streams began restructuring planetary communication networks. Instead of destruction, they were implementing a form of technological reset. The Kree-Lan would survive, but they would never be the same. As the final systems collapsed, a single holographic message appeared across every remaining screen. Humanity adapts. Humanity survives. The Stellar Phoenix had done more than defeat an enemy. They had demonstrated the true potential of human innovation, resilience, and technological creativity. Hiram watched the planetary system stabilize. They had not killed a single individual. They had simply shown the universe what humanity could achieve when pushed to its limits. "Mission complete," she whispered. The ship's quantum drives hummed softly. Another star system transformed. Another civilization made to understand that humanity was not just a species to be conquered, but a force of technological evolution. In the vast darkness of space, the Stellar Phoenix continued its journey, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a beacon of human potential. They had started as survivors of a destroyed ship. They had become something far more important. They had become a message that would echo through the universe. Humanity will always find a way. The transformation was complete. The triumphant moment had arrived.